Welcome to Effortlessly Abundant. I'm Shay Allie, and I'm going to be talking to you today about how you can be more effortlessly abundant in your life. This involves a simple piece of knowledge that you can use for the rest of your life to be able to neutralise anything that bothers you. So although we're picking the topic of abundance today, we can really do this around any topic in your life that causes you stress or you'd rather not think about. I've had a lifelong interest in the subject of abundance. If you see me talk on this subject before, you'll know that I've always challenged myself to attract the impossible where I can, and have frequently been asked, how did I do that? I've been very dedicated to developing a mindset that attracts what people now see as natural power or perhaps even natural luck. In being this blessed with this level of luck, I've also tried to dissect and unpick why certain people have this luck and this magnetism, and how you or anybody can develop that within themselves. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to give you an experience of just one of these tools, which involves using your subconscious or superconscious mind. Superconscious is the part of us that knows everything, remembers everything, and has access to infinite intelligence. This has much more potential and ability than we've ever given it credit for. In educating our superconscious, as we're going to do in this video today, your superconscious will be able to work for you on demand to help you release any negative emotions or thoughts. This happens quickly, and it helps you feel more empowered and have more inner peace in your daily life. To educate us on this, I'm going to rely on the work of Dr. Gary Flint, who was a clinical psychologist from Canada. He wrote an excellent book called A Theory and Treatment of Your Personality. The MAP Coaching Institute, who I've also studied with, used and developed his work on the superconscious mind and developed it into a technique which we're now going to use together to neutralise memories so that our lives can become more abundant, more happy, and more peaceful. So what I'm going to do with you today is give you some food for the mind and some food for the soul. The first part of this video is food for the logical mind, so that you know exactly what's going to be happening, and so that your mind can fully relax. We are then going to move into the food for the soul. So this is where I'm going to be talking directly to your superconscious to awaken new and deeper levels of abundance in your life. It's very painless and it's very easy. I hope you'll join me for that whole journey as we go through it together. So without further ado, let's talk about the mind. You see here this rather beautiful lady, and she represents an iceberg. If you think about an iceberg, only the tip of it rests on the top of the water. The rest lies underneath. The same thing happens with our brain. Only the conscious mind, the tip of the iceberg, is in our active experience, and that's just using the information we need to know right now. The unconscious mind has all these other pieces that lie beneath the surface, and just like the iceberg, sometimes those pieces are even fragmented. These represent parts of ourselves that may also be fragmented and we might have forgotten about. Then there's the part we may not have worked with before, and that part is called the superconscious. Let's look at superconscious in a bit more detail. This is a part of the mind that has been with us since the day we were conceived. Because it's been with us for our whole lives and before, it's learnt the same language of everybody that's around us, especially those that were around us during gestation. This explains why we can communicate easily with the superconscious by using our day-to-day language. Because superconscious has been there since conception, it has no emotions and no traumas. It's a very neutral part of the mind. I like to think of it as an inner genie, and that's why it's represented here by this little girl with a star, because she really can do magic. So let's look at how memories are created. According to Dr. Flint's work, there are 3 types of memories. Memory 1 develops while the fetus is still in the womb. This memory consists of neurostructures or basic connections that are still being created at that time. So this is not where you learn your emotions or anything like that. Memory 2 is a memory that also develops before birth, but this one keeps developing until around the age of 4. And this is where we develop some healthy and unhealthy traits. Those core traits are really learnt here from our siblings, our parents, and if you were watching TV at that age, even from the television. They become our habits that automatically influence a lot of our behaviour. So you could become the perfectionist, the complainer, the optimist, and it's likely that those types of personality traits are going to be created here in that memory too. In memory 3, this particular memory develops shortly before birth, hence why the arrow is drawn here. It continues until now. We do start learning in the womb, but learning is a fact of life, and we're learning all the time. So these memories that are created from that time really become what we call our main personality. And that's the core of this and why it's so interesting. Because by learning about these aspects of our personality, it helps us in terms of how to treat the traumas that may have been created and hopefully encourage more positive behaviours to come in the future. So let's go a little bit deeper into what dormant memories and active memories are. So again, we come back to our friend the iceberg. Here we have active memories. These are on the surface, so this is what happens to us on a day-to-day level, and it's how we come across in our main personalities. Active memories are used to create our behaviour and thoughts which are needed for our daily survival activities. Underneath these are dormant or inactive memories. Now, this is a large well of infinite information that we've learnt throughout our lives, and that's why it's represented by the bottom of the iceberg, which is much larger than the top. Most of our memories are dormant. They can be awakened or triggered into activity by what we see, what we hear, what we feel, what we taste, and our basic needs such as hunger and love. They're not needed all the time, so that's why they become dormant. It's our brain's way of being super efficient, like storing things in a filing cabinet until you need it. We don't need every single memory all the time, so just like a filing cabinet, they can be awakened very simply. So now I'm going to give you an example of a dormant memory. Let me ask you a question. Notice, since I didn't ask you a question, you do not know what the answer is. In other words, the dormant memory in you wasn't triggered at that time. Let's try a different question. Do you remember the last time you rode a bike? Notice that you start to scan your memory now to think about the last time you did ride a bike, and that answer is going to live in our memory 3. So you can see when you trigger a dormant memory, what it does is it goes from dormant and pops up into the active experience. This is important to know because for superconscious to treat those memories, they need to come up into our active experience. Once they are there, superconscious can work with those to treat them. So looking at the iceberg again, let's have a closer look at what's going on. You can see that underneath, here lie our memories, our beliefs, our emotions, and they can come up to the active experience when triggered to form the thoughts and behaviour in our main personality. All these aspects that are going on underneath are going to be influencing how we think and how we behave at any given moment. So when there's a new event, your unconscious will scan the filing cabinet for a similar reaction so you know what to do and how to behave. For example, when I mentioned the bike, if you have happy memories of riding, they would probably have been triggered when I asked the question. The new experience then gets filed away, ready for the next time you have to respond to a similar scenario. In other words, when you get a new or changed situation, the active experience will create a new collage of active memories to form our next behaviour or response. If it's a completely new event that you don't have a reference for, then you're going to be creating that reference, and it will also live in your dormant memories for next time. Dormant memories are useful because we don't need every single memory all the time. Let's go back and remember the first time you tried to use a spoon. The first time you might have missed your mouth, and maybe this little one still needs mum's help. But as we get older, we definitely don't need to think about how to use a spoon every time. Since all behaviour has a unique memory structure, we are constantly changing and amassing new memories and using them as a basis for our future responses, and this is how we constantly learn and grow. So going back to the iceberg again, you'll see now that we've got this line between the conscious and the unconscious, and this line is called the dissociation process. The job with the dissociation process is to dissociate information that's not needed in the conscious mind day to day. So for example, when you were first learning how to drive a car, it was very much in your active experience. Whereas if, like me, you've now been driving for a long time, you don't need to think about things like how do I change a gear or how do I signal right, because these things become part of our unconscious mind. This really helps our active mind be more focused in our lives by not having to assess each memory you don't need every time. So you may have noticed that you can also use your dissociation process willingly. In psychology, this is called suppression. So when you say to yourself, I don't want to think about that, you can suppress these memories into the unconscious mind. One of the incredible abilities of superconscious is to be able to work with the dissociation process so we can move a trauma up to the active experience to treat it. Before we talk about trauma, let's spend a few moments talking about the association process. This is found near the border of the iceberg. When there's a situation calling for a new behaviour or response, it's the association process that allows only the most fitting memories to be triggered into the active experience. If it lets in memories a little too easily, a phone might look like a brick, for example, so it's really honed to find exactly the right memory to come into the active experience. A common example of why the association process is useful is thinking about what you need to be like when you're concentrating on a task at work. And if you have too many irrelevant thoughts, then you just won't be able to focus. These are quite important things to be aware of because they're all going to be relevant when we come to treat with superconscious. The reason you'd want to get superconscious involved in treating trauma parts or parts in conflict is simply to get more satisfaction and less pain in life. The superconscious can treat or heal trauma parts. It does this by removing the negative emotions and pain from the trauma and replacing them with neutral or positive emotions. An example of a conflicting part could be when you're trying to lose weight. A child part of yourself might want dessert, and the adult wants to be healthy. This is a simple example of parts in conflict and why you might want to use superconscious to treat those types of conflicts. So let's have a look at trauma. When a new event first happens, it's something that you won't have an association for. So say it's the first time you've been in a car accident or something like that. Your active experience then tries to think about what response it should give. Just like a cue ball hits another ball on a snooker table, your main personality gets pushed aside and gets replaced with the trauma part. That's why we've got the trauma part here represented as the top of the iceberg going red. It is just like the main personality, but it comes up with more extreme responses and emotions. Because there's no learnt memories, those reactions can be even more extreme. It then gets integrated back into our unconscious and replaced by the main personality again. You'll see, however, that the trauma response has remained hidden inside, so it's still there. And if something like that happens next time, it can easily be triggered. So one really colourful example of this is if you've seen the movie The Silver Linings Playbook. The main character in that movie had a very extreme reaction to a very beautiful Stevie Wonder song, My Cherie Amour. In that film, that character had a very traumatic moment when that song was played at one time. So in the future, every time that song was played, his trauma part was triggered again and he had a very extreme reaction. So in the film, something as innocuous as a piece of music caused that extreme trauma part to be triggered. And even though it was done for comedic effect in that film, this is really what happens in our mind. When our trauma part is triggered, this can happen very quickly, and sometimes it will feel out of control. This phenomenon is represented by the graph that we see here, where you see the trauma part becomes a bump on the main personality. So what we can do here is rely on superconscious. The superconscious is there all the time, but we just haven't learned how to talk to it. To use superconscious to help us, what we do is release a tiny unit of the trauma part so that you can deal with it and so it doesn't cause too much pain. Then we ask superconscious to treat it. So you see here, the arrow goes from red to blue. If we imagine this trauma part then turning blue, it integrates very neatly back into the main personality, and we keep doing this process until we feel completely neutral. So it might look like this. You treat by bringing the trauma up a little bit, and then you rest. You treat, and then you rest. You treat and rest until the trauma part has completely disappeared. So now that's enough theory for us to be speaking to superconscious. So let's put superconscious to work. And what we're going to do now is just have some food for the soul. So let's start by just taking a deep breath and just imagine breathing into your heart and thinking about, where are you right now in relation to that issue of abundance in your life? Are you in a place where you wish that you had more abundance in finance, in love, in clients, in anything? If you do, pick an issue that you'd like to work on today. We always like to rate it on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being you feel no discomfort, resistance or powerlessness around it, and 10 being a very high level. Now, because this is the first time likely that you've done this sort of training, we don't want to pick something today that's at a level 10 for you. I'd invite you to pick something that's around a level 6 to 8 that you want to work on around this quite wide theme of abundance. And if you already feel abundant right now, how about taking it to the next level? Perhaps you're on a 6-figure salary wanting to be on a 7-figure salary. Perhaps you have a full client base, but you want more abundance of time. Perhaps you're in a relationship right now, but you want that abundance of experience that you share together. Whatever it is for you, just have a think about what you want that to be in relation to today's session focus. And while you have that in mind, just jot that down for me on a scale of 0 to 10. Where are you at with that? What is the main thought, the main emotion, the main belief that comes up for you? And how much discomfort, resistance or powerlessness do you have around that right now? So once you've done that, and if you need more time, you can please feel free to pause the video. I want you to just sit back and relax and listen passively. I want to remind you and your parts of the following information. I want to remind you parts that getting more satisfaction and having less pain is the main reason for treating and integrating parts. The superconscious can treat or heal trauma parts. It does this by removing the negative emotions and pain from the trauma and replacing them with neutral or positive emotions. The treatment process then strengthens the part's positive coping skills with positive emotions before joining them with the main personality. This is important to know. Parts, you do not die or lose information. You simply exchange information with the main personality. Your memory becomes exactly the same as the main personality's memory, and you can run the body at the same time without conflict. Remember also that we treat a few units and then we stop. We wait until you have stabilized again before we treat some more. This is how the superconscious will do it, so that it is very gentle and often completely painless. We repeat the process, treat, rest, treat, rest, until we have treated all the emotional pain associated with the parts during the trauma. So I'm going to ask you next if I have your permission to work with your superconscious mind today. Hopefully I do. And if I do, then please continue to listen and enjoy this audio. And I'm going to give your superconscious mind a few instructions to set up this session and to help you with anything that you might have come up for you in relation to abundance. Superconscious, please do all that is necessary so I can communicate with you clearly. Superconscious, please do all the communication and treatments necessary so that all parts that are active understand and join as members of the treatment team. Superconscious, please do all the communication and treatments with members of the treatment team so that they are all informed and are okay with the superconscious to learn the treatment process. Superconscious, please do all the communication and treatments necessary so there are no parts that do not want the treatment process to be taught. Now we're going to give your superconscious a metaphor so that your superconscious can understand how trauma is treated in the mind. So superconscious, imagine the brain is a beach, a smooth sandy beach covered with fine sand and gentle waves. Memories can leave impressions in the sand, like footprints left by creatures on the beach. When a phobia, negative belief, painful memory or part becomes active and moves onto the surface of the beach, small imprints or bigger footprints appear in the sand in a particular sequence, like a dance. You can treat the emotion by remembering the sequence of the footprints and gradually washing over the footprints like a gentle wave, little by little at a time, in the remembered sequence repeatedly until the footprints completely disappear, leaving behind a smooth, sandy beach. Now the memories are still there, but the negative emotions have been washed away. Superconscious, now please develop a treatment plan for all the members of the treatment team. Superconscious, please do all that is necessary to handle issues independently and automatically with consent between sessions as needed. Now hopefully you're feeling super relaxed, and I want you once again to just go back to that focus that we had at the beginning of this part of the session, where you rated an issue in relation to the abundance in your life. And right now, I want you to just bring up in your mind, don't be scared of the emotion right now because we're about to treat it. But just bring up in your mind right now, in a gentle way, what is bothering you about the issue, and just let that come into your mind right now. And as you do that, also think about what is the main emotion that you feel when you think about this subject. And also bring up any thoughts that are active. Just take a few moments to let that all come up for you. And think specifically why you rated it at the number that you rated it at. And while we're here, also think about where else in your life do you feel like this? As you notice these feelings, we'll instruct your superconscious. So all you need to do is relax and breathe and listen passively. Superconscious, please treat this and all other memories associated with it. When appropriate, do a massive change history, meaning treat all associated memories in memories 1, 2, and 3 after that. As we let superconscious just do its work, let's take a few nice deep breaths. And just breathe out those feelings. As you let superconscious just do its thing. Just take your time to just process and breathe. If you need a bit more processing time, feel free to pause the audio. But when you're done, come back to the room. And now just check in with the number that you're at right now. If it's the same, that's okay. But most of you will find that it's gone down a little bit. So what number are you at right now in that emotion, that belief, that memory that we looked at? So write that number down. Now, if you're already at a 0 or neutral, then great job. You can pick another topic to work with in relation to abundance and do that for our next round. But for a lot of you, if you're still at a sort of 6 to 3, I'm going to give you the superconscious command again, just so you can relax and breathe and listen passively. While right now, just bring up all the reasons in your mind why you rated that emotion, that belief, that memory at that number. And just let that all come up for you now. You're really, really safe. And just notice where else in your life do you feel like this, and let all those feelings come up for you as well. And as you experience those feelings, we're going to instruct superconscious once again. So all you have to do is relax and breathe and listen passively. Superconscious, please treat this and all other memories associated with it. When appropriate, do a massive change history, meaning treat all associated memories in memories 1, 2, and 3 after that. And as you let superconscious do its thing this time, I want you to imagine that you're breathing in an electric violet light. It's a beautiful electric violet light just breathing inside your body. And let that fill you up all the way from your head, all the way down to your feet. And just do that as you notice superconscious doing its work. If you need a little more processing time, you can feel free to pause the audio and do that. And for the rest of us, I just want you to come back to the room and check in with that rating that you wrote down. And think, where are you in relation to that right now? And for most of us, that rating or that number should have gone down. So great job. Hopefully you're already feeling more abundant. So what we're going to do next is just engage in that feeling that we really want to feel. So just sinking in to that feeling, that vision of abundance that you have. And now just letting your mind receive these words. Wouldn't it be nice if I could have unlimited abundance in my life? If that abundance were full of ease and flow. Money flows to me like these waves on the sea, just flowing endlessly and infinitely. Clients flow to me as easily as that. I easily and effortlessly meet people, attract people as soon as I walk into a room. As soon as I walk into a room, I feel this sense of confidence and power and presence. And I know that all these good things are meant to come to me. I'm meant to attract this infinite abundance in my life. I know that it is my birthright, my sense. In terms of the connections that I have in life, in terms of my lifestyle, in terms of the money that I have, it's overflowing. It's like my cup is full all the time. And I feel this immense sense of gratitude and peace and love. And I know that I am doing the right thing. I'm saying the right thing. I'm meeting the right people. I'm attracting the right opportunities. And sometimes I just step back in my life and I think, wow, how the hell did that happen? I don't know how I got here, but I'm very, very, very grateful that I did. And I just feel those feelings. I feel that infinite sense of gratitude, of confidence, of peace. I just have this peace in my soul, knowing that I attract all these very super lucky opportunities all the time, every day. I wake up and I think this is going to be another brilliant day because I know that I'm worth it. I know that I have that self-worth, that confidence, that peace. And sometimes I feel, how could life get any better? How could I be any luckier than this? Because I know that I'm always at exactly the right place, exactly the right time, attracting exactly the right people and earning more than I ever dreamed possible, achieving more than I ever dreamed possible. And I look back and I think, wow, I'm so grateful to create what I have created right now. I'm so grateful for this abundant life, and I'm so grateful that it's come to me so effortlessly, so peacefully, so magnificently right now. And I just sink in and breathe in those feelings as I know right now that I am effortlessly abundant. And if we're feeling any resistance in relation to that, just enjoy those feelings absolutely fully. Just breathe in and enjoy those feelings absolutely fully, knowing that that is your birthright, that is your entitlement, that is everything. And if you have any resistance in relation to it, I just want you to think about this phrase in your mind. I am effortlessly abundant. And if any contradictions arise, let those arise for you right now. Just slowly and safely let those all bubble up. And we'll ask superconscious to please treat this and all parts, beliefs, and memories associated with this. When complete, do the sentence procedure on the goal, I am effortlessly abundant. Then do a massive change history and everything after that. And as we let superconscious just do its thing, just breathe that in. And let that process for as long as you need until you feel that that statement is 100% true in your psyche. And we'll ask superconscious also to please repeat this session anytime I feel this emotion, thought or feeling again over abundance. Let me have the benefit of this all over again. And let superconscious do that right now. So let's ground you now and bring you back. So continue to relax and breathe and listen passively while we ask superconscious to do a complete massive change history and treat all the memories in levels of memory 1, 2 and 3, including any systems of body and mind. Superconscious ground all the memories we have touched today and reconnect them into the matrix of the universe. And superconscious, between now and the next session, please tag and treat any disempowering memory or part. Then replace and reinforce positive, self-empowering memories in their place. And we're going to ask these memories to be tagged just so superconscious knows how to deal with them if anything comes up for you going forward. And of course, if you choose to have another session, then we can deal with anything that superconscious has tagged to mark as, yeah, this is done now. So lastly, I'd like you to visualize a light filling you up from the inside. And it contains all the ideal positive thoughts, beliefs, events and emotions that you could possibly open up to at this moment. Allow the gifts to fill you up to the ideal level and allow them to stay and grow like seeds as you go about your day. And when you're ready, you can come back to the room and enjoy your new level of effortless abundance. Now don't forget, if you'd like any more help, you can always contact me on effortlesslyabundant.com, and it would be my pleasure to help you even further. In the meantime, I wish you effortless abundance and wishing you all the best.